Hello, it's the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson-Gray, and I've got my good friend Mike Russell on. How are you doing, Mike?
Yes, I am really well, and I'm super excited to be here and talk audio for video with you.
I'm really excited about that because audio is one of those things that a lot of people don't talk about. It's the thing that they miss. They get all excited about the video and they don't talk about the audio.
That's right, indeed. And sometimes you have audio coming from all different sources like I do. So.
I know. Well, yeah, Mike is good. Mike has developed just the most amazing studio and audio setup, which I'm going to be talking to him about. But just also to clarify, if you're just starting with live video, you do not need to do all of this. But this is kind of something really to progress to in the future. What do you think?
I think it is, yeah. And just like you say, it's something that you can work on constantly. I know you and I, we like to tweak our things. We like to tweak the video, tweak the settings. You've got a very nice kind of layout here with you in one box, me in another box, and labels, all of that kind of stuff. But you can start off with a basic microphone, then you can work your way up.
Yeah.
You can throw processors in the mix. You can even use stuff inside software to make you sound a bit better. But really, it just is about improving over time, really.
Exactly.
And it starts with a sort of rubbish sound and works their way up. Really.
Absolutely. I mean, basically, the first stuff that you produce is going to be rubbish. So that's okay. That's okay. Well, I don't want you to share too much stuff now because we haven't properly started the show yet. And so in a minute, I'm going to be starting the podcast recording. This episode is actually going to be going out a week tomorrow. But if you're watching us live, if you're watching the replay, it's great to have you here. Just put a comment down. If you've got any questions for Mike, anything to do with audio, anything to do with live video, I will try and ask Mike on the show. It'd be great. And this is episode 19. So once this is out, it will be at iag.me/19. And also just a reminder to go and subscribe to the podcast. To do that, you just need to go to iag.me/podcast. So that's cool. We've got some live viewers as well who are leaving some comments, but I'm going to get back to those just after the bit. But just before I do, where are you calling from? Just so that people know.
I am based on the sunny today Isle of Wight in the UK, which is fantastic at this late time now in the summer to have sunshine. It's around 18, 19 degrees. I have no idea what that is for our friends across the pond in Fahrenheit, but it's something quite high for Britain. And I believe where you are in Manchester is also sunny today, which is amazing.
I know. What are you trying to say? Yeah, it is known as the rainy city. That's all I can say. But yeah, it is. I mean, I've got the curtains closed, so I can't actually see, but... It is sunny. So if you wherever you are in the world, let us know. Just put it. Just let us know where you are from and what the weather is like. That's a very British thing to ask, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, because we are used to such varied weather here, so it's nice when we get a sunny day.
I know, absolutely. Right. Well, I think it's time to get on with the podcast. So I'm just going to press the record button. There we go. That's always good to start a podcast when you press that record button. What do you think?
Absolutely. Or if you're working in an old radio studio, I'd prefer to have an on-air lever like that. We're going smash it nice. We're going live, great mate.
That is great. Do you know what? I think somebody should come up with a lever a USB powered lever that works with Adobe Audition. What do you reckon?
I think it would be fantastic, or one of the big, what is it, smart home, is it Vibaro or something? They make these big red, panic buttons, and you can just hit the big red button and go live,
I love that. We need to make it happen. Let's do it. Anyway, we'll be with you just after this. I'll just press the button, and we'll be with it. See you a bit.
This is the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson-Gray, helping entrepreneurs level up their impact, authority and profits through the power of live video. Gain confidence in front of the camera, confidence with technology, and confidence with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Hello, welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. It's great to be here. This is episode 19. And today I've got Mike Russell on to talk about how to make your live videos sound awesome. If you want to find out the show notes, look at the show notes for this episode, all you need to do is go to iag.me/19. That's iag.me/19. Now, this podcast, as ever, is sponsored by Ecamm Live. and Content 10X. And just a little bit about Content 10X. My friends at Content 10X do an awesome job. They are the content repurposing experts. They are a full end-to-end repurposing service. So if you go live to Facebook or wherever platform you want, they will then take that video and explode it across the internet in a plethora of different pieces of content, whether that's a podcast, a blog post, social media images. They will do all of that. They are great. And the amazing thing about that is that it saves you time so you can focus on building your business. They also have an awesome blog. If you just go to content10x.com, and their podcast has just reached over 100 episodes. So do check out that. Just search for the Content 10X podcast. And Amy is doing an amazing job there. So on today's podcast, today's show, we've got my good friend, Mike Russell. Mike is a voiceover audio producer and podcast host. He has been using Audio Audition since the Cool Edit Pro days and loves using it to create radio jingles, DJ drops, voiceover demos, podcasts, and more. He's the creative director at Music Radio Creative, a company that produces audio for radio, DJs, podcasters, live streaming, and businesses. Mike is passionate about helping you sound great. It's great to have you on the show, Mike. How are you doing?
Wow, what an intro, Ian. I mean, that was amazing. Not just the intro you just gave for me there, but the whole thing when you were doing the sponsor message with the green screen and you down in the corner and all of those images, and then the amazing intro and compilation of images. I see Paul Orr, who's watching in Tennessee, watching the live stream right now, has said, what a great intro. So,
that's good.
Thanks to you for creating an amazing show, and it's great to be on it.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Mike. And if you are watching this, if you're leaving comments, just hop over to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/IAGDOTME, just so that I can see the comments. Because Facebook Live has this kind of annoying thing when you share it around. It doesn't put all the comments in one place, does it?
No, that's it. And I've just shared this out, and I'm hosting a watch party on Facebook.
Okay. Well, you can let me know if people ask questions in your watch party. Then you can ask yourself a question.
I can. Yeah. How cool is that?
That is pretty cool. So for those who don't know, I've given a bit of an introduction, but where are you based in the world? I mean, I think people will realize you probably have a British accent, but where are you based?
I am based in officially the sunniest part of the UK, if you don't count the Channel Islands, the Isle of Wight, which for those of you who've never visited this region, it's beautiful, it's lovely, come visit, ride, Sandown, Shanklin, Ventnor, it's all brilliant. We're kind of southwest of London, go down to Portsmouth and Southampton, hop on a ferry for about 44 minutes, and you are here on the beautiful, glorious, sunny Isle of Wight with nature trails, beaches, little private coves that you can sail to if you sail. It's just fantastic. And today, on a day like today with blue skies, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world right now. So,
well, I've been to the Isle of Wight 3 times, and I would agree with you. You don't work for the tourist board at the Isle of Wight, do you?
No, but I probably should do. I should probably get some kind of gig like Derek Sandy, right, on Britain's Got Talent this year, singing "Welcome to the Isle of Wight." Got to do it. It's great.
I think you should. And I visited you and the family. Was it? Now let me think. It was not this summer, but the summer before, I think, which was great. Just I have heard that the ferry to the Isle of Wight is the most expensive ferry in the world per mile or something. Is that right?
That's it. The most expensive strip of water to cross.
That's right. Yeah. But it's worth it. It's worth it to go there. It's a beautiful island. Yes. And it's great to have you on the show. So we've got some comments. We've got loads of comments from, no, I'm going to mispronounce your name. Sorry. You may know. Is it Marcin or Marcin?
Marcin, I think. Marcin.
So from Poland. Greetings from Poland. So, yes, I'm a big Poland fan. I think you are too for some reason. Why are you a Poland fan?
Might be a little bit to do with the fact that the heritage of my wife is from that beautiful country.
It might be indeed, yes. So your beautiful wife, Isabella, is from Poland, and she is also your partner in crime in Music Radio Creative. Am I right?
Absolutely, yeah. So Isabella takes care of everything in Music Radio Creative. She's the brains behind Music Radio Creative. And we work together in very nice complementary ways. Yeah. So It's always really exciting.
That's great. You're the creative genius, of course. Martin also says, are you switching all of these with the Stream Deck? And yes, I am. So a little bit more about the Stream Deck maybe in a bit, because I know you use the Stream Deck, which is a piece of kit that we can use for live streaming. But no more about that. And he also says, sunny and the UK, that doesn't work. Yeah, it does. It does. It is sunny here occasionally. So keep those questions coming. If they could be maybe about live streaming and audio in particular. I've got Mike on the show, particularly to talk about audio, because Mike is an audio genius. He knows everything there is to know, really, as far as I'm concerned, about audio. As far as I'm concerned, you've told me everything that I need to know about it. And I think one of the things about being an expert, there's always more to learn, isn't there? I mean, I think if you feel that you know everything there is to know about something, it's probably time to give up. What do you reckon?
Exactly. Yeah, you're always learning. You're right, Ian. And, the best thing is, when you kind of think, right, okay, I've kind of done a bit here with audio, you can stretch it out into something else. You can say, well, how about audio for video? How about actually video production? Or with Adobe products that I'm using every day, how about delving into After Effects and making some funky animated thing? And this is not a promo, but just recently I've upgraded my LinkedIn account. Now I get all these learning tutorials, and it's just like overwhelming me. And just when you think you kind of got every effect down in something like Adobe Audition, like, yeah, I know all like 50 or 51 effects in the effects menu of Audition, you can say, well, do you know what? Why don't I just explore Logic Pro and just have a look at how that works? And, people keep telling me about Reaper. I'll just take a little peek at it. Doesn't mean I'm going to start doing tutorials on Reaper, but I just want to know how everything works,
Oh, you kind of like go down another rabbit hole. But anyway, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, the first question I wanted to ask you is, how did you get started in all of this, in particularly live streaming? And I know before we started the show, you were thinking about when that was. When was that, and what did you get started with?
Oh, it's so funny because we were talking about this a little bit before we actually went live and started recording this show. And I said, well, I remember it well. It was 2015 when Periscope was started by Twitter. And then you said, hang on, mate, weren't you on like Google Hangouts and weren't you doing all that? And I was like, oh, yes. Well, that was before Periscope. And I was like, oh, right, okay, go and check your video history on YouTube. So I went to my YouTube channel, sorted by oldest, and here we are. I'm just going to look at it. Streamed live on 27th of September, 2012. So that is kind of, we're coming up to my live stream anniversary date soon as we record this show. 27th of September, 2012. My goodness, how many years ago is that? That's like...
Well, 7 years, isn't it? Something around 7 years. And you certainly beat me. And that's when, roughly, I started blogging in late 2011 and really started doing it properly in 2012. Yeah. Live video wasn't on the agenda for me at all. I'm quite a late person to all of this. And I remember on Google Plus being invited onto Google Hangouts on that and being really nervous and thinking, oh, my goodness, this is really scary stuff. But how did you feel when you got started? Can you remember your first live video and how did it go?
Yeah, so I remember it well, specifically because I've got it on the screen in front of me. Otherwise, I wouldn't remember it so well. It was all about starting an internet radio station because back in 2012, I was working on different projects to what I'm doing today at Music Radio Creative. Still very much day-to-day involved in running Music Radio Creative and doing bits there, making jingles and stuff. But one of the biggest things on my mind in 2012 when I made that live stream was creating an internet radio station. And I had this whole project, doesn't exist anymore because, as I discovered during the project, music royalties cost a lot of money. So I started up this station called MRC.FM, and I did a live stream with 5 or 6 other experts. So it wasn't just me. So it wasn't nerve-wracking just putting me on the camera. It was 5 or 6 other people, and we just had a discussion about how would you start an internet station? What would you do? What kind of licenses do you pay? How much? And where from? And all of this kind of stuff. And it was really good, actually. It's nice. It's kind of like a... kind of guess what you'd call a mastermind, right?
Yeah, that's really cool. Like you, just listening to you talk about that first experience of yours, it doesn't sound like that was a really scary thing for you because you were talking about something you were passionate about or really interested about, and you weren't the only one. It was like just a conversation that you were having. And this is something I always recommend for people who are starting off, who may be feeling a little bit nervous and lacking in confidence. Go on with some other people and talk about something you're really interested in. Forget the cameras there and you'll be fine.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And yeah, for me, it was just like 5 or 6 other people that I really respected the opinion of. I could see they were doing things in internet radio, and I kind of wanted to gather them. I was like, well, why not just make a live stream out of it, make some content? So yeah.
That's cool. So this is something I always like to ask my guests, which is maybe a bit of a horrible question, but can you remember any live video disasters that you've had? Maybe one or two, and maybe what did you learn from those things? Or maybe maybe you haven't had any disasters. I don't know.
That's a really good question. Well, related to audio, I can certainly think of them because, like, it's one thing getting audio right for when you're doing a recorded show like a podcast or, you know, a video for YouTube like I do, and then you can always mix the audio in post, and if something didn't come out well or there was a problem with audio, you can remix it or cut it or, you know, do a pickup line or whatever. But when you're live and audio goes wrong, it's a pain. And a number of times, even I should know better, right? But I'll go live and I'll leave a fader open on my mixer, or I'll not have something connected, or I've been fiddling about doing something in Adobe Audition and forgotten to push a button on the desk. So I'll go live, I'll go, I'm live, and people are like, you're echoing. I can hear double voice there. It's like, oh no, or even worse, I can't hear any audio happen at all. This is probably the worst thing in recent time. We do a live stream every Friday on my channel, and I go through, we'll probably talk about this later, a bunch of processors, like hardware, not software, hardware processors right here in my studio. I've got about 4 of them for the live stream. And just when we went live, we were about to go live, we went on, and now I have them in front of me so I can see all the lights as I'm talking. But back in the old day of the studio, I had them like stuffed under the desk next to my feet. So I was forever kicking the dials on them. That was the worst thing, because it's like, oh, you don't sound as good as you did last week. And then one time the plug, just the, you know, those kettle plugs here in the, I think they're universal. We get them in the UK, US. You plug them in the back of a kettle or something, or in the back of a PC. It just fell out of one of the processors. So there was no audio. So we were streaming for like 5 minutes, and everyone was like, can't hear you, no audio, nothing like that. So I was like live and scrambling around. Why is this not working? Looking at every fader on my desk. No, everything's open, everything's on. Oh, hang on, there's no signal. What's going on? No, nothing's coming out my mic. Look, and then I crouched under the desk, looked at all the processors. Yeah, there's lights on my mic processor. There's no lights on that processor. Right, what's wrong with that? And at first I was like, oh no, a fuse has blown in the plug. I'm going to have to go to leave the live stream going, run into the house, grab a fuse, change the fuse. But luckily it wasn't that. It fell out of the back. So check your wires. Check your wires. Yeah, and I do want to ask you about your setup. But the thing is, at the end of the day, was that the end of the world? You got people continuing watching you. They were probably saying, we can't hear you. They were probably wanting to help. And yes, you didn't stop at the end of that. You kept going. What made you keep going after those disasters? You have to keep going. That's the thing. I mean, you just have to get used to the fact that things will happen and it's natural. And like you say, people want to help you. It's the worst feeling in the world when you go live and something is wrong and you can't really correct it while you're live. So like with audio, you have to kind of get that working. Otherwise people can't hear you. But it could be something as simple as, I don't know, your audio keeps crackling or something, or you do a multi-stream and you go to Twitch and YouTube, and your Twitch viewers are like, you're not live on Twitch, you're on YouTube, but you're not on Twitch. And they're like, oh no, I have to restart the stream and everything and set up a new stream and all of that. So it can be, not to panic people, because there are easy ways, and I know you teach them, like using great software like this, Ecamm, keeps it nice and simple. So what I say is, when you start, definitely keep it simple.
Yes.
I don't keep it simple. That's why things kind of fail somewhere in the chain.
But you enjoy that. I think we both are a little bit like this. We tend to overcomplicate things, and we have fun with it, and things will break. But if you're the kind of person that's not so technical, then do not mess around with things like multicasting, at least at the start. Just keep it simple, as Mike says, definitely. So the next question I was going to ask was, what is your current setup? But just as a precursor to that, what did, when you first started live streaming, what was your setup then, and then how did it progress into what you've got today?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I guess I started live streaming on Google Hangouts, and I had basically a microphone audio interface and went live, and that was fine. And other people came in with their audio, and they had different quality of audio. But my most memorable live stream was not 2012 on Google Plus, and Google Hangouts no longer exists. I really remember streaming on Periscope using my phone. So really, Periscope is the first thing that I remember to my memory that you can actually just grab a phone and do quite a nice live stream. So you can keep it as simple as that, of just whipping out an app like Periscope, click and go live. Most of the phones now, the latest iPhone, the Pixel from Google, they all have good microphones, good audio. If you want to take it up a level, you can get something like the Rode SmartLav Plus, plug that in, clip it to yourself, and away you go with quality audio. I used to do that. And I back in 2015, I just used to wake up at sunrise at 5 or 4:30 in the morning, drive to different spots on the Isle of Wight and just go live. And because Periscope was so new, sometimes I get 200 or 300 viewers per live stream. And I was like, this is amazing. But of course, it didn't last. But it was fun.
It was fun while it lasted. So that's how you started. And I think that's a great place to start for people who on live streaming. Just start on your phone. It's so much easier. You can get a microphone like the SmartLav Plus. But then obviously you then progressed over to using your computer and building your studio over time. How did that develop? And can you tell us a little bit about your setup now?
Yeah, so it has developed over time. It's just a case of getting more gear and trying more things. As an audio fiend, I just love to test gear out and try things and see what will sound good in my chain. Plus, my background is in radio, so I used to be on the radio, so I love playing with processing and making audio sound good. Building up to today, it's something that I'm currently journaling on my YouTube channel. Started with the repainting of the studio. So if you like this nice background here, that was my handiwork. That was the forest green that we used as part of our rebrand of our logo. But as part of that, we also got a brand new desk in here. Going to be releasing a video about that soon. This desk actually costs $3,000, but it's an amazing desk because you get rack units in it, and so you can have all that stuff in. And I've got a whole video I'm putting together at the moment of putting it together. It's quite the thing to put together, though.
Oh wow! So you must let us know the link to that video so I can put it in the show notes, because I've seen the desk, and obviously at the moment if you're we can't see your desk, but there are loads of videos and images of this. And can you just describe it to us? How does it work?
So it's a beast. It's from a company called Zaor, Zaor. I have no affiliation with them, but they make a series of different studio desks. Some of them are really basic, they're in the few $100 range, right the way up to a music or audio producer's desk where you can have 12 racks slotted in. You've got a pull-out drawer here where you can have a mixer and a keyboard on and things like that. You can also have all your screens around you and stuff, and I like a triple screen. You can have a dual screen, whatever you prefer. But it's really cool, and you can see everything in front of you, kind of like a mission control, or everything is just there. And I had a rack custom designed to fit 2 stream decks. So right in front of me here, when I go live, I can push buttons and change camera angles. It's really, really cool.
It is. I'm trying not to be too jealous, but it's one of those things. I'm a big believer in bootstrapping your live video studio over time. You do not need what Mike's got to go live, but it's pretty cool. And I think we can get some inspiration from each other. I'm sure you got inspiration from other people out there. So as well as you got the Stream Decks, you got the triple monitors. Tell us in terms of how you live stream, and also a little bit more about your audio setup as well.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I have a bunch of different gear here. Most importantly for audio, I use Soundcraft mixers. Love Soundcraft, have done for years and years. I currently have the Soundcraft Signature 12 MTK, which is a multi-track desk, meaning you can feed multiple outputs and faders to different things and different areas. So that's really cool if you want to go advanced. But anything like a Soundcraft Notepad down in the $100 or $150 range will get you started. I feed all of the audio out from my desk into a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, which is plugged into my streaming PC, which runs Wirecast. And in the back of that PC, I've got a ton of Elgato cam links and Elgato streaming cards with HDMI in, so for HDMI capture. And we have 2 camcorders. We have a mirrorless M50 camera for Isabella, who's my co-host. We've got some Logitech Brios, and they all feed into the streaming PC, and I can switch them inside Wirecast. But of course, it doesn't have to be Wirecasters. I know you talk about OBS is pretty good. Things like vMix. There are so many options out there.
I know, and you've used quite a few different things. I know at one point you were using OBS Studio, and you were doing multicasting and all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to just unpick for those listeners and viewers who maybe weren't familiar with all of those things you were mentioning. You mentioned the Scarlett box. Do you want to explain what that is and why people might want it?
Yeah, so Scarlett is an audio interface. The 2i2 is probably the most common audio interface from a company called Focusrite. They are well known for making really high-end gear to take an analog audio signal and convert it into something that your PC can use to record or stream with. So, for instance, the 2i2 I've used for ages, since it was the first gen, the second gen. Now it's in its third generation with a really clean front and a USB-C connector. And yeah, it just works a dream. It's about $150, something like that. And what it does is it takes like XLR leads, which are those audio leads. You can plug them into the front, and then it converts them into a digital signal that then comes out via a USB cable into your computer, and then you can do what you like with it inside the computer.
Love that. Love that. That's really, really cool information. We love the tech. I've just noticed some of the comments coming through on I think it's probably on yours on Facebook. So these are all the ones I've missed out. Sorry, guys, if you've been leaving messages. We've got Michael, who's saying, I'm wearing my MRC, my Music Radio Creative hoodie. Also, Paul Orr asks, what cameras are you using now? I'm actually using the Logitech Brio, the Stream Edition, which is a slightly cheaper version, although I think it's pretty much the same. And until recently, I couldn't get it working properly on my Mac. But just a bit of a tip, if you have installed the G Hub app, uninstall it because it doesn't work properly. And I've managed to get it working properly. How about you? What camera are you using?
Yeah, I'm using the same, the Logitech Brio Stream Edition. It's really, really good. But judging by your picture to me seems a lot better than mine. It seems sharper. Also, you've got your white balance looking nice. For me, I'm looking a bit orange here. So I know orange is kind of an in thing at times.
Maybe. Well, I had this problem not yesterday, just a couple of days ago. If you look at episode 18, I'm bright red. It looks like I'm blushing all the way through. And that's when I was using the G Hub app, and the white balance goes all weird. So I don't know whether, just it's playing around with it. And we can't be experts at everything. So I think lighting is one of the things that I sometimes struggle with. Would you say lighting is one of the things that is maybe your weaker thing?
Definitely it is. Yeah, I'm constantly playing with it. Definitely since we've set up the new studio, I'm feeling happier with it. But yeah white balance and things like that. I now have a key light, I think what's called a fill light over there. And then I've actually got a backlight behind me. So and that actually makes the wall behind me look really good. Because if I switch it off, let's find the switch just down there somewhere, switch it off, and the wall doesn't look as exciting. So and it just gives that kind of pops the wall out.
That's
and
true.
The background.
So for listeners to the podcast, when Mike switched that off, this when he has it on, it's almost like this halo, not a kind of in a green screen halo, which we don't want, but it's a really nice light that kind of emanates behind, which is great. So playing around with those things now. What was the other question? So yes, I think so. I can't find who asked this, but
mics you using? I think someone.
Yeah,
else.
that was it. I can't remember who asked that, but it's somewhere. So yeah, microphone. So I'm using. I don't know whether. Let me just go back to the other one. So I'm using the Heil PR 40. But I have to say, I was using the what's it called again? The Blue Yeti microphone for quite a while, which has a bit of bad press. I'd like to talk to you about that, because I think one of the problems with it is that people put the gain too high up and it picks up everything. But before we talk about that, how about you? What microphone do you use?
Yeah, so I've used the Heil PR40. It's a great mic, especially for podcasting. Right now, because I really like condenser mics, and the studio here is starting to get a little bit better, so we can use sort of a higher end mic, I guess. This is the AKG C414 XL2, and I just really like it. It's got different polar patterns on, so you can select what you like. I think I'm in between cardioid and super cardioid, so kind of very narrow focus on my voice here. If I go off mic, you can't hear me very well. So it's just the perfect blend, and it's I really like it.
That's cool. So what could you just explain the difference? You mentioned cardioid. What are those different settings? Is this something that we should be thinking about when getting microphones?
Really good question. And yes, and that kind of leads on nicely to the Blue Yeti as well. And I think you were going to ask my opinion on that. So people are very polarized on the Blue Yeti. Some people are like, it's great. It's a reasonably priced mic. It works nicely. And other people will say, no, it's cheap, it's USB, it sounds horrible. But that also has those polar pattern settings on it. And if you don't set those up correctly, it will not make you sound as good as you possibly could. So yeah, you've got like the same as this AKG mic. I've got omnidirectional, which is usually default, the same with the Blue Yeti. Omnidirectional means the microphone is going to pick up audio from all around it, right? So if you've got a really big echoey room and you have your microphone on omnidirectional, you're going to be echoing around like a beast when you're talking into that microphone. You want to really be on cardioid, which is the heart shape in front of you, or super cardioid, or even if you can get a mic that will do it, like the SE Electronics V7 microphone. Really like that microphone, just $99. Great mic for the price. XLR connector, and that has hypercardioid. So for those podcasters that have real problems with noise and room reflections, get yourself an SE V7. It's hypercardioid. It will literally pick you up like a line. It's awesome.
Wow. That is not USB, am I right?
It's XLR, but it's got a nice sound to it. It's very crisp, very bright, very good for the price range and what it is. It's actually originally designed as a handheld kind of stage mic. But I think it's great for podcasters who have audio problems.
So if you want to keep things simple, you're just starting off and you want to get a nice microphone that just plugs directly into the computer, because obviously with these XLR microphones, you either need a mixer or an audio interface. Would you recommend just getting an audio interface, or would you say, is there a decent USB mic, or is that a really horrible thing to ask an audio production guy?
I'm always going to recommend XR connected mics. I'm going to recommend that you buy yourself an audio interface that allows you to plug XLR into your computer via USB. So you kind of got that middleman going between the microphone and your computer. Whereas if you buy a USB microphone, it's doing both those things. Yeah. It's being a microphone and your audio interface, or your analog to digital converter. So really, I'm always going to say go for XLR. You can get really reasonably priced XLRs and good quality for the price as well, like the SE V7. Even Blue make an XLR mic. They cottoned on to this kind of like, we need a really good budget XLR mic, and they came out with the Blue Ember, which I've tested, and for the price, it's awesome. So there are good, well-priced XLR mics from companies like Blue, SE, even AKG make the P120 and the P420 in that price range, which are really good. And then you just spend another $150 or whatever on the audio interface, good quality one like Focusrite or Soundcraft, and plug it in. Yeah. So there is a little bit of an investment here. I mean, Mike might disagree with me here. I would, don't let this stop you from just getting on with live streaming. If you've only got like $50 to $80 or pounds, then by all means get a USB mic. But if you want to get that better quality, absolutely agree with you, Mike. Just get an XLR microphone and something like the Scarlett, the Focusrite audio interface. It is a bit more money, but I think that's a good investment for the future. And it's not just going to help you with live streaming; it's going to also help you with podcasting and all this other kind of cool stuff too, which is great. So we got a technical question, which I'm sorry, Martin, but you asked this before, but I wanted to leave it until a little bit later because it's more of a technical question. I think it comes in quite well here. So this is putting you on the spot. I don't know if you can see this on the screen, but he says he's got a Yamaha MGX10 USB mixer and a Rode NT1A mic. I use it for live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. I always think the sound is not so good. Any recommendations on the settings of the mixer? That might be a bit tricky without actually hearing it, but have you got any kind of thoughts on mixer settings in terms of getting a decent audio? Okay, that's a really cool question. As you were giving that question, I was actually pulling up an image of the Yamaha mixer in question so I can see what kind of dials are on it. So the issue with the person asking the question is that they don't sound as good as they feel they could?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a few things you can do here. First of all, make sure your levels are good. I can see on this particular mixer you recommend, you've got level meters over to the right. So make sure they're just flicking, obviously the green, you kind of probably want to be going just tickling into the yellow, definitely not into the red. So first of all, get your levels set really nicely on that mixer. And you can do that. Obviously, you've got the level control right at the bottom to turn the microphone up and down in volume. But then you've also got the gain control right at the very top. And this is the same for most mixers, by the way. So you want to turn your level all the way up or to the 0 point. And then when you've got it there, then you want to twist the gain until you get those level meters kind of tickling yellow. So you want to just tickle yellow, but get nowhere near red. So you've got a nice solid level when the channel is fully open or on, as it were. Once you've done that on this particular desk and others like Soundcraft desks and things like that, you actually get EQ. And I can see on the Yamaha, you get HF, high frequencies, trebles, you get MF, mid frequencies. That's the kind of thing that makes you sound like you're on the phone if you turn it up really loud. And then you've got LF, which is, again, low frequencies and bass. So you want to have a play with these. Usually what I do is I turn the treble up quite a bit. I put on quite a bit of treble because it just increases the crispness and the clarity in your voice. But if you turn it up too much, it makes you sound all thin and wispy, like you're about to disappear. And then with the mid-range, usually with mid, I actually crank a bit of that off. I kind of take that out. One of the best things about my desk is not only do I have mid-range, but underneath that, I have another dial that selects the mid-frequency. So I can actually choose. I can say, oh, this frequency in my voice sounds pretty terrible for me. Find that frequency and just pull a little bit out so you get that nice, clear and present voice. And then with bass or LF, I'll just put a little bit on. But again, you don't want to go overboard and sound like, public radio announcer. So you can do all of that on the desk. And then the other thing I'd recommend is grab yourself a really good mic preamp and processor. Like the one I use and recommend is the DBX286S. And you can do all of that and more. You can do stuff like noise gating, you can do compression on there, and that's probably the one biggest thing I could recommend. But obviously, start with the Yamaha and then, spend a bit of money next if you want to kind of level it up, as it were.
That's awesome. As you can see, Mike knows his stuff, and I highly recommend the DBX286 as well, because that does an amazing job making you sound better, and it can save so much time. It isn't for the faint-hearted, though. I mean, you need to help me a little bit in my setup, but you've got an amazing video that goes through all of this. So if you just search for Mike Russell DBX286S, that was so helpful to me. And I also want to do a bit of a plug for your Friday show on YouTube. Is it every week, the Free Jingles Friday?
Yes.
Is that right?
Every week.
Awesome. It's so good. And if you want to see Mike do a live edit on an audio jingle, that's what you need to do. It's absolutely amazing. So thank you for that. So another question before we go on to my next sponsor, which is, what advice would you give to somebody just starting to build their live video studio?
Just starting to build? Oh, wow. Okay, what advice would I give? Do your research. So ask for recommendations when you're thinking of getting gear into your studio. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes I still make. I'll buy some gear and I think, doesn't quite do what I wanted it to do. And then I'll talk to someone who knows and they're like, well, you should use this. And it's the same even with software. I'll be, struggling to find software to manage my social media. And I'll be like, oh, this is terrible and it doesn't do this. And then I talk to someone like you and you say, well, you should just be using this. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's kind of that epiphany moment when you speak to someone who knows what they're talking about. And you're like, this solves all my problems. So rather than, worry about your sound and go out and buy a load of different things and, I don't know, whatever, cloud lifters or whatever, because your volume is too low, talk to someone, ask an opinion, and then go and get that. So definitely ask for an opinion, read reviews as well, and verify those reviews. So don't just trust the fact that it's got like 95 4.5-star reviews on Amazon that it's going to be good. Cross-check. I like to do this when I'm buying gear, not just look at the Amazon reviews, but certainly in audio, there's a great site. I think it's based out of Germany called thomann.de or something like that. They just stock like everything that's audio, and I'll go to them as well and I'll verify, is this a good bit of audio gear? Because you have more kind of audio type people on that site. So you can see, okay, the DBX286S, it has 11 good reviews on Amazon UK, but look at this, 96 people think it's great on thomann.de. So then you kind of cross check it, because we know how sometimes that things can have good reviews and not always be that great. Things can be manipulated. Don't want to go too heavily into that and point any fingers, because it's a hard thing to maintain, having, good and honest reviews. But things are not always what they seem. So
I know.
Check and ask opinions.
It's a scary world out there. We've got to be careful. So keep those questions and comments coming. They're not all on my page, so I'm kind of trying to go over to the other page as well. But it's time for the next sponsor, which is, of course, Ecamm Live, which is what I use every week to stream this show. And it's my top recommendation live video streaming tool for Mac users, because it's a standalone app that makes the full power of your Mac computer. So a lot of live video software out there is devised for Mac and PC, and so one of the things about Ecamm Live is specifically designed for the Mac, and it really does help you level up your impact and authority using confident live video. One of the reasons I love it is because it has this real easy to use feel, yet it is really powerful. You've got loads of powerful features like being able to bring in lots of guests onto the show, highlighting comments on the screen, the ability to save videos for later in a really good quality. It integrates with Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Restream, and of course, if you want to be really fancy, it has loads of powerful features like NDI, virtual webcams, green screen, and more. So if you want to find out more about Ecamm Live, all you need to do is go to iag.me/Ecamm Live. That's iag.me/ECAMMLIVE. So there we go. So my next question, we're kind of running out of time, but it was so helpful. So many amazing things you're asked here. So I want to ask this question because, as I said at the beginning, loads of people get overly excited by the video in live video, probably because live video has the word video in it. But this is such a silly question to ask you, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Does audio matter more than video in live video?
I think audio is important to kind of hook people in. If you have good audio, people will stick around generally. I wish I could reference something like a study to say, yes, there is a study. I did hear somewhere that YouTube did some investigation into this and found that people with good audio retained viewers and for longer. But I can't cross-reference that, unfortunately. That's kind of hearsay. But in my mind, if you have good audio, straight away out of the bat, you're professional. You can go live with, an iPhone camera or, anything that's kicking about, a webcam. And if you have good audio, it's just going to raise the bar a little bit. So, yeah, obviously, being an audio guy, I'm definitely going to say that audio is important.
Well, I would agree with you. I mean, I've watched live streams where the video quality is not that great, but the audio has been fine. And the flip side, I've seen live streams where the video is great, but the audio is awful. There's like a hum in the background and loads of background noise, and it's just, to be honest, unbearable. I actually find myself switching off. And so I think the audio quality is really important. But I suppose the question is, if your audio is okay, what are the advantages in making it really great? And so this follows on to my next question for you, which is, how do you improve the sound of our voices? First of all, from a non-technical perspective, have you got any thoughts on how you should be projecting your voice or using your voice? I mean, I've met you in real life,
real life,
in quite a few times, and you just seem to have this amazingly resonant voice, and without the microphone. So it's not just the microphone and Mike's audio settings that are making Mike sound great. Mike sounds great anyway. Have you got any tips on that?
So, yeah, I mean, there are definitely things you can do to project your voice, to learn to project. Well, I should probably get some voice coaching. But one of the things I hear a lot from voice artists is like, don't speak from here, and that can often come on. You can speak from here if you get like anxious, anxiety or whatever. Try and speak from down here in your tummy. And so that's a good start, speaking from the belly, from the tummy. Another thing I was always told to do in radio is stand up, which I'm not doing now. I should grab my mic, but then you wouldn't see my head. And I should stand up, because that can be the difference between a really well-delivered read or show and something that's kind of mediocre. I always advise, like, the voice artists that we work with, stand up when you're delivering your liners. If you're doing an advert or an audiobook or whatever it is, stand up. Do not sit down. You'll put more energy into it. And then there are those weird, like, warm-up exercises you can do. Like one of them, again, I hear this from voiceover artists. These are not my own ideas. I'm just repeating stuff that I've heard from really great people who do good work. And one of the things you can do is you can go, ah. before you go live. Another thing you can do is you can sing A-E-I-O-U. I can't sing. You could probably, as a singer yourself, Ian, you could do justice to that. So you'd go A-E-I-O-U, sing the vowels. Go on, give us a blast of your great singing.
So I tend to do the Italian vowels. So the great thing about that is there are no diphthongs in this. So A-I-O, it changes. So the Italian vowels are more pure, which I think really helps here. So A-I-O-U. So A-I-O-U. And you can make it into you don't need to be a singer, but just changing the pitch in your voice can really help. So, it helps you get that kind of dynamic range. Helps you really kind of get those vowel sounds, and also helps you thinking about your breathing as well, I think.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. You just breathing is like super important, and sometimes hopefully we're all going to breathe all the time, otherwise we wouldn't be alive. But it's important to remember when you're live and you're in that high stress environment, you go live for the first time, remember to breathe, remember to center yourself and bring yourself back to, hey, it's okay, I'm here, it's good, this is happening now. And, you're doing this for a reason, right? And just remember that breath. I think you've hit on a great point there, Ian, with breath and breathing, yeah.
Yeah, we forget to breathe, and I think as we grow up, we forget how to breathe. Actually, it's really breathing down in our belly. Using our diaphragm. There's a whole episode about this. I can't remember when it is. It's around episode 5 or 6. I'll put it in the show notes, and it's all about how to warm up your voice as well. But I was just really interested from your point of view because you
drink water.
Yes, hydrate yourself. So that's from a non-technical point of view. But how do you get your live streams to sound awesome from a more technical point of view? What would you say are the things that we need to think about? We've talked about a microphone, we've talked about audio interfaces, and we've talked about the DBX286S. Do we need to put all of those things in there? Are there any other considerations that we should be thinking about to really raise the quality of our live streams and make us sound awesome? And also our guests sound awesome too.
Definitely. It's a really good question. So going back a little bit to what you were saying about, you can get started with just, your iPhone or your Android phone, and the mic on that can be pretty good. Level it up with a Rode SmartLav Plus, which is just a lav that plugs into your phone. Certainly if you're outside, I'd put it underneath your clothes rather than outside, so you don't get the wind noise. If you're taking it a step further and you're streaming maybe with a camera and a shotgun mic, I was just looking around to see if I've got one, but they're kind of the long, thin, they look like a shotgun and they're very directional. One of the common things I hear is probably too much with live streams. People are doing live streams from out and about and it's super windy and they don't realize it because they can't hear, but the wind is basically doing this to their stream, is going and you can hardly hear anything else. So it's like if you've got the ability to like throw over, a dead cat or, one of those socks over the
mic. Not a real dead cat, just to make sure.
One of those big fluffy grey things. Stick that over your mic. That will make a world of difference if you're outdoors. And if you're indoors and in a fixed location, start looking into equipment. Audio interface is good. DBX286S on your microphone will definitely enhance your sound and make you sound better. And if you want to take it further up another level, and something I use on the live streams that I do, I run the whole output, not just the microphone, but every microphone going through the desk, plus music and sound effects and any guest that's coming in, like you mentioned, guests as well, through another hardware compressor called the DBX166XS. That's an overall compressor. It stops things peaking. It also crushes things down a bit, so the stream is a consistent level, because that's the problem you get with live streams as opposed to produced videos on YouTube or wherever else where someone's been in Premiere Pro, they've run a few settings over, it's all very smooth and nice. Live stream, it's harder to do that, so you need something to do that, because otherwise you get someone shouting really loud and it deafens the listener, and then someone's really quiet and they have to turn the stream up. So an overall compressor will sort that out. And going into what you were saying about guests, try and help your guests to sound as good as possible. It's not always easy, but certainly try and level them up from using definitely please try and get them away from using the computer's internal mic.
Yeah.
Even just throwing on a cheap headset will be better than nothing. But yeah, if you can, I know some podcasters will actually, like I think John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneur on Fire, he will actually either recommend or send out like a very cheap microphone to some of the guests, particularly if you're getting a really high-profile guest, but they don't have good audio. That's the worst thing. You get this really good name on your show, but they haven't got good audio. It might make sense to, spend a bit of budget and send them out, and they'll probably be grateful as well. So
that's a great tip. I like that. We've got Al Andrew here who says a high-pass filter on your microphone also helps.
Yes, absolutely.
So, is that something on the DBX 286?
There is a high-pass filter on the DBX 286S. It's probably should talk about what that is. So yes, your high-pass filter is essentially rolling off the bass frequencies from your voice, but not the bass frequencies that are in your voice, the bass frequencies that aren't inside a human voice. So things like it can reduce wind rumble, it can reduce road noise, it can reduce just basic hum if you're in a room or anything like that. So it's kind of a good idea to put that on in some situations, not necessarily all, but certainly if you feel like you need a bit of improvement with your audio, high pass will just roll off those kind of dead, rumbly frequencies. DBX has an 80 hertz high pass filter. This one I'm using has high pass filter on the back. You can switch it on. Plus, you can run it in post in things like Adobe Audition and really tweak it.
Yeah, but obviously for a live stream, you can't. You want to do everything live, so getting a hardware box like that is going to help, which is great. Yeah. Just one more question. We're kind of way over time, but one of the things I love about what you do in your show is you have a bit of fun. You add some like a reverb effects and some music. If people want to do that, I mean, we'll probably leave the whole thing about copyright and music to another time, because if you're using music, make sure that it is royalty free or that you have the rights for that, because it could actually mean that your Facebook listens in or YouTube will listen in and will actually cut your stream. So be careful about that. But putting that to one side, have you got any tips in terms of how you can bring in music, maybe at the beginning or while you're speaking, underneath you speaking, and any kind of effects? Is that the kind of thing that you would recommend people play with?
Absolutely, yeah. Highly recommend it. And if you've got something a little more than an audio interface, so Scarlett 2i2 is just good for getting your mic audio into the computer to live stream. But if you can get yourself a mixer, like I use, as I mentioned earlier, Soundcraft Signature 12 MTK, but the Soundcraft Notepad 5 or 8 FX will do really great for allowing you to mix in different channels. So, for instance, what I have here, and you can have this on a much simpler desk. Let me just pull it out and show it to the camera for you. I have got an iPad. Let me open it up so I can actually show you the app I'm using. I've got an iPad here with iJingle on. It's an app called iJingle, and I can do things. And don't worry, I'm not going to get you for copyright here because these are our own jingles. But I can play this. I don't know if you can hear it. Hang on. Need to find the right channel and play it. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm now playing a jingle from my iPad, which is plugged into my mixer. So you can mix that in using the iPad, that kind of thing. Also, if you get all Soundcraft desks tend to come with an FX return with Reverb and Echo, so you can do things like this and have fun with Reverb. And hopefully that was coming out on the stream as well.
It was great.
You can do all that kind of stuff. That comes with I like to call them mixing desks, but I understand you get lost in translation across the pond, and people term mixing desks in the US as kind of like desks that you do the cooking on. So I think it's a mixing console to be universal.
Okay.
Mixing console.
I'm glad we cleared that up. That's really cool. And yeah, so basically a mixer like the Soundcraft mixers can do it. The what was it called? Was it iJingle?
iJingle app, from Camel Web Creations.
That's cool.
I think it's iOS only, but I'm pretty sure you'll find something on Android.
I think there is on Android, and also the Stream Deck probably doesn't do quite as good a job, but I don't know whether this is going to work. But now you probably couldn't hear that, Mike, because I've not. One of the next things that I'm going to be trying to do is routing the audio, what I hear, through so my guest can hear that. But if you heard that on the stream or on the podcast, let me know. So you can actually, some of the buttons on the Stream Deck, you can assign an audio track. Although that's going to be on your computer, not through the mixer. So it depends on your setup, but that's cool.
Exactly. And like you say, the Stream Deck can be used as a soundboard. In the configuration app that you install on your computer, there is actually a soundboard option. You can search for it, drag it in, and then choose a media file, MP3 file, WAV file, and then it's constantly like tethered to that key. So every time you hit the key, it's going to play that sound effect. You can also put music beds on there as well, trigger them off from the Stream Deck. That Stream Deck, it can just do so much.
I know.
Every time I fire up, there's a new update. It's like, now you can control Philips Hue lights. Now you can see how fast your CPU is going. It's like, wow.
It's amazing. Well, unfortunately, we had a lightning strike, and it broke our smart plugs in the house. But I did have it so that I could switch the lights on and everything. But anyway, these things happen. We've gone way over time, but I just it was so good to have you on, Mike. We'll probably have to have you on again fairly soon, because there's so many other questions I wanted to ask you. But thank you so much for being on the show. How can people find out more about you? And is there anything you're working on that you'd like to tell people about?
Oh, thanks, Ian. Well, yeah, no, it's been a pleasure to be here, and I'd love to do a deep dive on, music at some point, or creating music and sound effects and all that cool stuff. But for anyone who would like to check me out, the best place to go is youtube.com/Music Radio Creative. It'd be wonderful if you could hit the subscribe and bell as well. Like you mentioned in the show, we do a live stream every Friday where we make free jingles, and I actually do the production in real time. So if that's your thing, if you want to see how it all works, tune into that. But otherwise on the channel, I'm releasing, a couple of videos every week, and it could be anything from like this new bit of audio kit I wanted to test out to how do you achieve this effect, or sometimes I'm trying to get more vlogging on there as well. So I'll probably do a few things. I'm traveling next month, so I might whip out the camera and, do a few like Casey Neistat style videos, although not obviously as good as the legend himself, but aspiring to be.
Aspiring, yeah. Well, it's cool. Definitely check out Mike's channel. Definitely check out the Free Jingle Friday. It's absolutely awesome. It's been great to have you on the show, Mike. And we'll have to have you on again. But until next time, I hope that you can level up your impact, authority, and profits using the power of Confident Live Video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Confident Live Marketing Podcast with Ian Anderson Gray. Be sure to join the community at iag.me, where you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video. And until next time, toodaloo.